سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, it's a pleasure to be at another one of these monthly socials. It's also nice to get to know you guys, all of you guys, before we got started today. I think that's one of the ideas behind this program, to give a platform for people from different walks of life to get to know each other as we grow in Islam, as we grow in our connection with Allah. You know, Islam teaches that a critical part of our connection with God is our connection with each other. You know, the way that I as a Muslim perceive all interactions in this world, in this existence, is I'm either dealing with God directly or dealing with God by dealing with people. I'm always dealing with God. I never lose sight of that. Because, you know, I need to be mindful of God in the way that I'm treating other human beings. In fact, there's no way that I can become whole in my faith without that. And in fact, it's actually one of the most beautiful aspects of the religion. You know, we see each other as brothers and sisters. You know, to be able to have a connection with other people that is not based in, you know, blood ties, it's not based in like a common background or you being co-workers or at the same school, is something very special. Especially in a world where like everything's about return on investment and about material gain and stuff like that. You know, often, you know, the relationships become about the tangible things. You know, perhaps very few people in our inner circles would be people that we connect with purely for an immaterial purpose, a spiritual reason, a greater calling, my purpose as a human being in this world. And whenever you find one of those, Islam teaches hold on to it dearly. So, you know, this is what I'm hoping would continue type of platform. And that's why the way that we set this up is the first part of it is a short talk, and then maybe if you guys have some questions, and then after that it's an opportunity for you guys to connect with each other and speak with one another. Crowd's a little light today, but hopefully some other brothers and sisters will join, and whoever doesn't join us this time, at least you'll get to watch this later on, and perhaps consider joining us next month, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, God willing. So you guys know what we celebrated about a week ago, correct? You guys know what it's called? Eid al-Adha, the Eid of sacrifice, right? And in fact, we're still in that month in the Islamic calendar. It's called Dhul Hijjah. It has the best day of the year. That's the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. That is the day of Eid. That was last Friday. Not yesterday, the Friday before. And there's a lot to reflect on in what it symbolizes and the storyline that it's linked to historically. It's a lot to unpack there. But I guess, like, for starters, I reflect with you on how Islam teaches us to celebrate. Like, we have two Eids in the Islamic calendar each year. The first Eid is after what? Ramadan. After Ramadan. And you guys know what Ramadan symbolizes? It's given a name. It's called the month of, you guys know? Month of patience. The month of patience. And when we celebrate on Eid after Ramadan, we're celebrating half of faith, which is, faith is two halves, right? Half of it is patience. And what that means is you'll find all of the teachings in Islam linking back to, or half of the teachings in Islam linking back to this concept of patience. And patience is for different things, like patience in doing the right thing and doing acts of worship, and then patience in avoiding doing the wrongful things, the sinful things, and also patience with the trials of life. So that's what Eid al-Fitr is about, the Eid after Ramadan. And then the other Eid is the one that we just celebrated a week ago, Eid of sacrifice. And it's celebrating the other half of faith, which is about gratitude, all about gratitude. So faith is two halves, half of it's patience, half of it's gratitude. And you know, one of the most beautiful things to me about this is when Islam teaches us to celebrate, it doesn't do it for shallow reasons. It's fun it's good to have fun and to just have some time to enjoy. All that's fine. However, Islam doesn't link our holidays to things that are like materialistic. No, it links them to deeper meanings. A big, great achievements for us as human beings, like learning to live a life of patience, learning to live a life of gratitude, as those before us lived, our righteous predecessors, is an amazing achievement, and that's something that's worth celebrating. So that's the idea behind holidays in Islam. Because people identify by what they celebrate. It contributes to my identity. And when it's about esteem things like that, it just elevates the way I look at life and what really matters, right? So that's, I guess, the first reflection. Now, going a little bit deeper into it, why is it a celebration of gratitude? Do you know the historical storyline that we celebrate in the Eid of Sacrifice? Which prophet is it about?
Prophet Ibrahim.
Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Abraham. And who else along with him? Which other prophet?
Ismail.
His son, Ismail. And the mother of Ismail, her name is? Hajar. Yes. So that's what this Eid's about. When we look a little further into that, Prophet Abraham is considered to be among the 5 greatest prophets in the Islamic tradition. Who are the 5 greatest prophets? We call them those foremost in determination. Who are they?
Ibrahim.
There's one before him. Prophet Nuh, Prophet Noah, and Prophet Abraham, Prophet Ibrahim. And who's the third one? Anyone know? Prophet Moses, Musa. And the fourth one?
Isa.
Prophet Isa, Jesus. And the 5th one is Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The reason why these 5 prophets have a special status is because they had to endure immense trials and difficulties in conveying the messages to their people. They made ultimate sacrifices. And when it comes to Prophet Abraham, Prophet Ibrahim, we see him as the father of prophets. His 2 sons, you guys know his 2 sons. So Ismail is one of them, you already mentioned that. Who's the other one?
Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac, Ishaq. And the son of Ishaq is? Jacob, Yaqub. And the son of Jacob, Yaqub, is Prophet Yusuf, Joseph, and his brother Benjamin. In Islamic tradition, we believe in all of these great prophets of God. And that's from one bloodline. The other, Ismail, coming from his progeny, many centuries later on, is our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So when it comes to the legacy of Ibrahim, we refer to him as the friend of God. In Arabic, his name is Al-Khalil. And the Quran describes him as a man of great gratitude. And what defines gratitude is, what is gratitude? When you think about it, what does it mean to truly be grateful? What would you guys say? What does it mean to truly be grateful? How would you define it?
It's like recognizing and appreciating the reason why you have things.
Recognizing and appreciating the reason why you have things. Okay, that's good. Is there something else to it? Who else wants to add? Who else wants to help our brother Sulaiman? Think with me. What does it mean to be grateful? When people mention, being grateful, what do they often link this with? In terms of what I do. Appreciation. But when I say I'm grateful, how do I express my gratitude? When people say it, is it with an action or with words or what?
Actions.
You express. Often people, when they say I'm grateful, meaning I'm expressing something to you with my tongue. But that's not what I appreciate you, right? Thank you. right? It's something I'm saying with my tongue. You did something good for me, and I'm going to say thank you back to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But in the Islamic tradition, gratitude, that's only a small portion of gratitude. What does it truly mean to be grateful? It means for me to use and utilize all that was given to me in the manner that leads to achieving God's pleasure. So it's basically me redirecting all that was given to the way that it's supposed to be used by the one who gave it to me. My eyes, my ears, my hands, my mind, my feet. And that's why, you know what the opposite of gratitude is in the Islamic tradition? What's the opposite? He's on a roll, right?
I hate to say ingratitude.
Huh?
I hate to say ingratitude.
No, the Quran actually expressly mentions this. And your Lord has said, express gratitude. Says, and لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you were to express gratitude, I will increase you. And if you were to disbelieve, then my punishment is severe. So in the Islamic tradition, the opposite of gratitude is disbelief. Why? The word for disbelief in Arabic is kufr. And when I'm doing kufr or disbelieving, I am creating a clear barrier between my body and soul, and I am neglecting my soul's calling. I'm neglecting, my soul is yearning to worship its creator, Allah. And when I don't do that and I'm defiant of worshiping God, then I'm going against the order of existence. We believe the trees, the birds, the animals, the earth itself, the planetary, the celestial bodies, the planets, the stars, everything is doing a form of worship, as the Quran describes in its own right. And when I, as a human being, rebel against this order, then that's what we call disbelief, the opposite of gratitude. So Ibrahim was described as someone who was utterly grateful. And there's a lot to mark what it meant for him to be grateful. Among that is the story of the sacrifice. We as Muslims believe in the story of the sacrifice. And you guys know that story, I'm sure, right? When Ibrahim was called to sacrifice his son. In our tradition, we believe that was the sacrifice of Ismail. After living a lifetime without a child, one of the great blessings of this world, Ibrahim was asked to sacrifice this child. Why? Allah, or God, wanted Ibrahim to have a higher calling than being attached to anything or anyone other than him. So to elevate him beyond that. That's not to say that having an attachment to your child is a bad thing. No, of course not. It's natural. But Allah wanted something special for his prophet. And Allah, through this, taught us something special, something unique about ourselves as human beings. Our attachments often blind us, and they make us make wrongful choices. And sometimes these attachments, again, they might be natural attachments. I'm attached to my money, I'm attached to my child, I'm attached to my job, but life sometimes pushes you in a direction where you are forced to identify by something greater. If I identify by my job, what happens when I lose my job? Do I fall apart as a human being? Right? If I identify by my house, what happens when I lose my house? Right? If I identify by my connection with another human being, what happens when that human being is no longer there? And this is like real big stuff. It's one of the most difficult things to be tested with is the loss of a child. Unfortunately, we pray. There's a lot of catastrophic things happening in this world around us right now as we speak. And we pray that God helps humanity emerge from all of the death and destruction that's being caused by wrongful choices of human beings. But nonetheless, so that's the meaning behind it. It's not that God wanted a father to kill his son. God is teaching us something very, very important about what the path to gratitude truly looks like. I may be forced to these realities through natural events that come in my life. But in the end of the day, and you'll find those who are most tested end up having this very unique perspective on life. And I'm sure, like you coming from different paths in life, and I'm sure that many of you found their way to Islam through having to overcome some of your own trials. So for us, the Eid of Sacrifice is all about that. It's all about that. So it's such a beautiful meaning. How overcoming difficult things, instead of leading me down depression, should lead me to God, right? So that's one thing there. And then there's other beautiful stories like that relate to Ibrahim and his legacy. You guys know the story of Hajar and Zamzam? You guys know about that story? No? Sulaiman, you know about it?
Yes.
MashaAllah. So the story of Hajar and is another example. Look, this is a beautiful example. Again, another example, a story of gratitude. This mom, so Ibrahim was instructed to leave Hajar and Ismail in the middle of a barren land. That barren land was Mecca, before petroleum existed, before it became wealthy and lucrative and all that other stuff, before people were coming from all corners of the globe to it. He was instructed to just leave them. Now, if you're someone who's materialistic, you might say, well, that's so irresponsible. Why on earth would God want him to be irresponsible towards others? No, God wanted to teach him and every father after that it's not the father that provides, it's God. It's not me who saves others, it's God. And maybe God may use me to do that. But ultimately I realize where true power lies. It's with God. And so Ibrahim was told to go, and Hajar, this mom, was left with her newborn Ismail, and she began going between these two mounts. One of them is called the Mount of Safa, and the other one is called the Mount of Marwa. And it's actually part of the rituals of Hajj. Someone who looks at Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca from far away, might think that Muslims are worshipping a rock. I've heard it before. I think maybe you guys have heard it, but some people say, "Oh, you guys worship that big, that cube-like looking rock thing, right? You guys go around it." No, we don't worship the rock. What I'm describing to you here is another scene from our past that symbolizes what it means to live a life of gratitude. So Hajar, in the middle of nowhere, began pacing back and forth between the Mount of Safa and the Mount of Marwa, searching for signs of life. Something that might be utterly futile. But what do you get from this? What do you gather from this? I gathered two things from this. One thing is the heart of a mother. She heard her baby crying, and she had to do something. Even if it was futile, she's just not going to sit there and allow her harm to come to her baby. It's one of the beautiful things about, God, the way that God created us as human beings. These emotional connections that, help us build civilization. So that's one thing. The other thing, though, is, part of gratitude is for me to put my heart into it and, do everything that's within my ability. Even if it's futile and even if it doesn't make sense, you know what, I'm going to do it. Why? Because that's my role, that's my part. I'm not going to just sit back and be negligent. No, I'm going to do whatever I can. And Ibrahim had to do this in many scenarios during his life, by the way. Even in another story that's relating to the Kaaba, we believe that Ibrahim was tasked with building the structure of the Kaaba, him and his son Ismail. Again, another futile thing, like in the middle of the barren land, the desert, like what? Like why? Why do that? It doesn't make any sense, right? But little did he know that he was going to build this structure, and he was going to be told to call people from in the middle of the desert, Adhin finnas, call them out, come to this land. And his call would resound throughout time and space, where people continuously, every single year, go respond to that call. For me as a Muslim, when I go respond to that call, again, there's nothing parallel to it. I remember when it was Hajj time, I I don't know why, but in my social media feed on Facebook, there was a picture that came that had 2.1 million, human beings gathered in a location. I thought, oh wait, this must be relating to Hajj, and I read the caption on it, and it had nothing to do with Hajj. It was some music festival on the coast in Brazil, and they're saying how music brings people together, right? And for me, Hajj is is a much more elevated call. You people save a lifetime to be able to go to this place, and it's not a place of luxury. We're not like indulging or enjoying ourselves. And it's not what it's about. In fact, you'll find the wealthy and the poor side by side experiencing Hajj. Again, is there poor people in Hajj? Yeah, from other parts of the world. They actually save their life savings to be able to make this trip for 10 days, 2 weeks. For them, it's a trip of a lifetime. And there's no way that you could convince millions of people to spend that much money to go. They're not going to see any like clock tower or any like material thing. They're going there to answer the call of God, right? So it's a very, for me, the other side of this, how it symbolizes gratitude, is, that which is most cherished for us as Muslims are things that are very spiritual by nature. Islam teaches me to be a person who is not materialistically driven. And I think life shows us this, and the Prophet says this to us too. The slave of the dollar will utterly fail. Someone who is materially attached to anything outward will not find happiness. So when I celebrate the Eid of Sacrifice, it's all about these beautiful meanings of investing in the things that you can't put your hands on. Something spiritual there. Right? And that's part of what, the power of Hajj is in the power of congregation. What brought us together here right now. So we had one of our brothers he said from the Bronx. One brother from the Bronx, another brother from North Caldwell, is that what you said? Haledon, Clifton, Little Falls. And then we have, I'm sure, where'd you say you were from, sister again?
Lodi.
Lodi, right? What brought us to this space here? Nothing other than I just want to learn something that's going to help me become a better human being, right? So that's a beautiful thing. It's a very, very beautiful thing. So that's part. So Hajj. If you have you ever tried to look at some of the images and some of the live feeds that are coming from Hajj, if you've tried, you'll see the most captivating thing about it is seeing that many people gathered to just to call upon God. It's the best day of the year. We call the day of Arafah, the day where they're in this place called the Arafat. They're all calling upon God for forgiveness and guidance and acceptance. And for us, that is one of the 2 best days of the year. That's what it really is about. So that's a little bit about the legacy of Ibrahim and some of the stories that relate to his life. And, what it means for me as a Muslim, as I'm growing in faith. A lot of what makes Islam special, again, is the things that you experience internally. Even when you're connecting with others, even when you come to this special space here. Like again, all the masajid, the Kaaba is the best masjid, right? It was one that was erected as the first place of worship in the land. It's the best mosque, right? But the reality of the Kaaba extends to all mosques in the land too. Like if you were to look at this space here, who owns this mosque? You know who owns it? Who owns the mosque? Sister Huma, who owns the mosque?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns the mosque.
Oh, yes. So in our belief, this space is owned by God. So we all have equal footing in this space. When I come to this, I have equal footing here with every other Muslim. And I'm coming here not because there's like amazing artwork on the walls and stuff. That's not why I'm coming here. In fact, this space is also surrounded by angels. I may be able to feel their presence, can't see them, right? But again, that's what's driving me as a Muslim, that understanding. That although I have a physical body, my soul and the power of my soul has a far greater reach than my physical body. And once that's entrenched in patience and gratitude, there's no force in the world that could ever stop me, you know. So that's a little bit of a reflections on Hajj. There's a lot more to say, of course, but I'm gonna open it up to you guys. If you guys have any questions, anything you'd like to ask about, whether it's relating to the subject or otherwise. Anyone have anything they'd like to say? Ask. Feel free.
So fasting on the day of Arafah, is that sunnah or is
Yeah.
that prescribed?
Yes, it's an absolute, it's a beautiful sunnah. We believe, thanks for asking the question. So the day of Arafah is the 9th day of the month, the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah. And we believe that if you fast that day sincerely, it'll be a means of expiation and forgiveness for the previous year, whatever wrongdoing was done in it, and in the coming year. You think, well, that's a huge reward just for one day. Well, when you're dealing with the one who his bounties and his ability has no limit and has no bound, then of course he could give whatever he wants for any deed. So it's a very special day to fast. Yeah, absolutely. Our Prophet encouraged that. Who else got a question?
When it comes to Hajj, what is a good way? I feel like people think about Hajj, it's like, oh yeah, inshallah, I'm going to do Hajj. It's, you know, one of the pillars of Islam, I'm going to do it. But there's not really, at least for me, I feel like I haven't set like a practical way forward for it. It's just like, oh, one day I'm going to do it. Is there any tips or suggestions you have for someone as they kind of think about that on their spiritual journey?
Well, you know, financially speaking, like for most people, it's obviously something that you need to work towards. And like maybe some people make even a Hajj fund that makes like a certain fund where they continue to, you know, put in it whatever they can, and over the years, then they'll be able to go. That's financially speaking. Spiritually speaking and practically speaking, it's encouraged to do it ASAP. Because when you do it when you're young and healthy and free of mind, it's much better than you do it when you're older and you know, physically limited in how you can experience it. But yeah, that's just pretty much it. And again, it's a very unique. One thing that I may encourage to many of you, and I think some of you, I know you've gone Umrah. Umrah is like a smaller version of Hajj. You do certain actions in it. Like, has anyone else ever gone to that sacred site before? You've also gone there? You went there before? Wow, beautiful. If you haven't, I would encourage you to go for that first, if possible. At least.
Where is it? What is Umrah?
Umrah is you go to the same sacred site in Mecca, but the number of rituals that are to be done to fulfill it are less. So Umrah would be finished in a matter of hours, but people usually go for like a duration, like a 7-day trip or a 10-day trip, and they finish this Umrah. They'll go visit the Mosque of the Prophet in Medina, and then they'll go to Mecca, and they'll do the 4 functions of Umrah, and they'll finish it. So at least you'll get to see the layout of the land, and you'll experience what it feels like to be there. And everyone who goes there, everyone, whether you're a new Muslim or you're a born Muslim, it doesn't matter, your take on Islam will totally be different after you see the sacred space of the Kaaba. Because you will feel a spiritual presence that there's nothing like it in this world. Nothing like Mecca and Medina. It's like you're entering a different time dimension. If you're struggling to understand what that feels like, I would encourage you to try it. There's tons of trips that groups go to perform Umrah, all times of the year. And you could join one of them and figure out how to do it. Yeah. So another thing, just to give perspective, like, so we said Ibrahim is the father of prophets. And we believe that the majority of prophets that came after him were from his bloodlines. We believe that not just Isaac, but also Ismail was a prophet of God. And one of the differences in Islam versus the biblical accounts is that we hold Ibrahim to a sacred level. just like we do with all prophets. We do not believe that Ibrahim had an illegitimate son. In biblical accounts, you'll find that Ishmael is regarded as the illegitimate son of Prophet Abraham because they do not recognize Hajar in a positive light. But for us, our belief in prophets is that they are the best of human beings. And they cannot, there's a discussion about this in Islam, can prophets commit sins? I actually had a conversation recently with someone who's considering Islam, not a Muslim yet. Can prophets commit sins? The answer to this: when it comes to after prophethood, then they absolutely cannot commit major sins. Like what? Like intoxication, like fornication, like incest. We don't believe that any of these things can ever be attributed to a prophet. We speak very highly of Prophet Lut, and Prophet Abraham, and Prophet Sulaiman, and Dawood, and all of them. We hold them in very high regard. A major sin, absolutely not. Minor sin after prophethood, according to most scholars, is also not allowed because there's something called isma, divine protection. Before prophethood, some of them say that they can commit minor sins. What's the reason behind this? If they're human beings, why can't they commit sins? The reason behind this, we believe, is that God protected them from unbecoming behavior to preserve the integrity of their message. Like imagine this. Imagine if a prophet lied. What would people say? Well, if he lied once, maybe he'll lie again. Imagine if he committed an act of betrayal. Well, if he's betraying me, maybe he betrayed the one who sent him, right? So it'll compromise the integrity of the message. Same thing is, what if a prophet committed a major sin? People will have an excuse on the day of judgment not to believe. Oh God, you sent me someone who did something far worse than anything I would have ever considered doing. So how could I have been expected to follow him? So this is the Islamic discourse on, prophets, and that's why you will find stark differences in the way that the Quran depicts all of these prophets and some biblical stories portray them. Yeah. Does anyone else have other questions? Any other questions, guys? No? Very good. All right, good. So then, inshallah, is there another segment, or is there
No, I don't have anything else.
no food this time? Or
No, we have dinner.
Oh, okay.
Of course we have dinner.
I don't see it. So the next portion of our program, guys, look, again, like we're going to consistently do this, and I'm really happy that you guys came out. Tell your friends about it for next time. And also, if you watch this video later on, we want to see you next time, so we continue to build our bonds. Next portion is equally important. You're going to enjoy some delicious food and get a chance to get to know each other a bit more, right? And if you ever have any questions, want to reach out, just reach out to Sister Huma, Sister Nadia, or myself, and I'll be happy to help, inshallah. Okay? Jazakallah khair. Take care.
One more question.
All right.
I'll wait for somebody else.
All right.
So in terms of like reading the Quran, right? I'm reading like the English version, then I have the transliteration, and inshallah I'm going to Arabic.
Cool.
Because I've been told by some like learn how to speak the language first. Then I've been told learn the alphabet first and learn how to read it first. So which method would you recommend?
Versus reading the transliteration?
Yeah, reading the translation versus learning the language. Like,
look, obviously learning a language, especially in older age, is not an easy task. It's very difficult. Like if you had a young child, I would say without second guessing it for a moment, teach them the language. In older age, realize that if you can't read the Arabic language, it's okay. You'll still be accepted by God. It's a beautiful thing to try to do, and I would say take it one step at a time. It's beautiful to be able to learn. MashaAllah, we have brothers and sisters who accepted the faith, and they actually excelled in learning how to read directly from the Quran. To the extent that there are people who are born Muslim who don't know how to read, but then some some people who accept the faith, they actually end up reading pretty well, you know. So I would recommend balancing. Look, because when I read the translation, it convinces my mind of the truth of the religion. And I absolutely need that. I need to understand. Understanding is very, very critical. Because if I don't understand, then maybe I will lose steam, you know, very quickly. So, but if I'm past that stage where like I'm fully convinced and, you know, I just want to excel to the highest of levels, then I'd say after that, you can spend more time learning to read the language and practicing with the transliteration first, and then trying to read directly from the Arabic. All right?
Just kind of, I started using tutor to kind of learn how to read the Quranic language.
What are you using?
I'm using a tutor online.
A tutor?
He's actually pretty great. Yeah.
Cool.
I can give you the information. No, it's he's Arabese, but he's in Egypt, and it's really helping me how I don't know how to say it. I don't understand it, but what it is I find it easier to first learn how to read it, and then later on you know how to read it and know the alphabet, then you can understand how to say it.
Very cool. May Allah give you tawfiq. Inshallah.
I was gonna say too, there's some really good musafs, right? When you start to learn how to read, they give you like it's called Al-Quran Al-Karim, and it gives you like direct word for word translation. So like once you start learning how to read little by little, you know, by being able to read the words, you'll start to pick up like certain things and certain things, and it'll come easy. Or easier is not super easy, but little by little you can learn anything.
Sheikh, if I may, there's also Dr. Players who teaches here actually. He teaches here on Saturday mornings and during the weekdays.
Yeah, we're here with him Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6:30 to like Bishop, and then Saturday and Sunday after Fajr, he teaches us Saturday. I went from not knowing the alphabet to now I can read certain sort of, you know,
That's awesome.
And the classes are free, so you're
Yeah,
welcome to
yeah,
come.
you guys are welcome as well at home.
He's an excellent, mashallah, teacher as well, so approved and sealed. Sheikh Adnani.
Yeah, and he does like a lot of comparative religions, so if you ever have questions, he's like my go-to guy, you know.
Awesome. Awesome. Inshallah. Inshallah. Allah bless you. All right. Inshallah. Hope you enjoy the next portion, guys, and inshallah, see you next month. Assalamu alaikum.